What's up, Blazionaires and Blazionettes? Oh, I've been putting off on this review for quite a while. I mean, that's what happens when you be an adult. When your schedule is just so hectic. But now I finally found the time to really review this episode. So, spoiler warning if you have not watched it, I would advise you not to be here. So, that is your warning. So in this episode, we find out that it's been 3 days since Rick and the gang have met Negan, and Negan is come to collect, and and he didn't wait a week. It's like 3 days later, and he's like, "Oh, let me in, little pig." so and man, Negan, he really feeds off of the rage of others towards him and the fear of him, he feeds off of both. I mean, like, he can tell that Rick wants to kill him, and he feeds off of that, and it's like either you kill me or not, you're screwed. and then you see that Rick still has a little bit of spark in him left, where he's not beyond repairable from being broken in the season premiere. You see that, he has that thirst. He is thirsty for Negan's blood. I mean, when he makes Rick hold Lucille throughout the entire episode during his visit, you can tell that he is just dying to bash Lucille over Negan's head. He's ready to bash him over the head with Lucille. and but we know, I'm sure some of us are rooting for him to do that, but at the same time, we're like, no, now's not the time, and it's not the time. So I have to say that this is a much different way, for Rick to keep himself and his people alive without fighting back. I mean, that's a whole different thing that this group has never experienced before. The major leagues, Rick and Michonne, Carl, Maggie, etc. Them. But and Negan quickly bumps the Alexandrians back down to being defenseless. Like how they were before Rick showed up. And it's ridiculous. And you have some people who are, a lot of them don't want to do this. I mean, you have some who are willing to stand against Negan. Like, there was Carl when he heard the gun go off and he shot at one of the saviors, and he's threatening him to leave, and he threatened Negan to leave. And there's Rosita when she goes out to find a gun off of one of the dead saviors and bring it into the community after everyone's taking the guns away and all that stuff. And then there's Michonne with the rifle, and she's practicing to get ready to shed some blood, just to be ready. And I like that, how they're making her more, leaning more towards, I guess the Andrea's, like the Andrea's story, like where she's really good with a rifle. So it seems like they're really trying to make Michonne feel in her shoes, full circle, double knots, tied in the shoestrings and everything. So I think that's pretty cool. I think by the time we see her use the rifle, she'll get better at it. But this is us. I think this is them preparing us for her to become more and more like Andrea, other than just being Rick's, love interest. So I really like that. I really dig it. And yeah, I gotta say, Spencer, I mean, this is the third time that he's put somebody or everybody at risk, at a major risk. The first time was when he asked Gabriel to close the gate, and he couldn't have just done it himself, and he was right there, and look at how that turned out. I mean, Gabriel did not safely shut the gate all the way. Okay, number 2 is when he shot one of the wolves and they crashed into the wall. And then you see how that turned out. And then, Alexandria was overrun. And the third time, when with the guns that he hid away. And here's my thing though, like if he had the guns hidden for quite a while since Rick showed up, since he didn't trust Rick or whatever, how did Deanna not pick up on this? Like where she, like like when she was running things, like when they come inside the walls, turn in your guns, don't take them to Olivia. How did she not pick up on that? You know. But anyway, let's see here, and and it's interesting, and and I'm glad that they're still focusing, they're still stretching out, like the vulnerability of of the group, because if they just if all of them just jumped right back on the saddle and then they're like ready to fight, that would just take, I don't know, that would just take out, that would just would not. I mean, Negan's wrath would not be effective. I mean, like if the entire group was ready to fight back and they were and they are fighting back, at this point in time, it's too soon. Like we need to focus on how Negan's law is affecting them, and where it pushes them to want to get from under out of his thumb. But like Rick said, I mean, like they don't have the Negan has the numbers, he doesn't, so he's outgunned, outmatched, and for him to go after Negan or even let alone threaten Negan at this time would be suicide. Well, for everyone else, he would just get the entire community killed. I mean, like it would be nothing but a bloodbath. And Rick and in Rick's defense, in the second half of season 6, he had no idea what he was up against. Right now, at this point in time, right now, he knows what he's up against, which is why he is willingly doing, he's letting the Saviors take all their guns and all their medicine, and or most of their medicine and most of their mattresses, because he's not ready to get someone else killed. I mean, not like that again, no. And so, my prediction is that, with the next episode coming up, like where we're at the hilltop, Negan is gonna find out that that they basically formed an alliance, and they came to it. They made it that these communities that he basically owns made a deal with each other, to take him out, and so he's not going to be happy with that, and I think that will motivate, like with the attack of the hilltop, which we've seen in the Comic-Con trailer. I think Jesus is going to go to Rick and tell them that we need to take this guy out, and that's when he introduces Rick to Ezekiel, and then that's where Rick has, I guess has his angle, I guess, where he has the numbers that he currently does not have right now. So I can see that happening in the mid-season finale, them all forming an alliance and being ready to fight back. And but I mean, like with that all being like back to Spencer, like with all that being said of how he's gotten people in serious danger, that makes him a major league liability. And my prediction is that his days are numbered. He's not going to last long. His expiration date is coming up. Like it's this close, and I will not miss him. I will not miss him. Oh man. I mean, I get it that nobody wants to be under Negan's thumb. I mean, and yeah, some people are going to be angry or resentful towards Rick. I mean, especially those who weren't in that lineup. If you were in that lineup, I mean, come on. Like, for example, Michonne, like how she doesn't resent Rick for doing what he's trying to do to keep everybody alive, and just pay his debts to Negan, you know what I mean? But in the comics with Andrea wasn't in that lineup. So when Rick was doing this, she told him, "I can't look at you. I just cannot do this anymore. I have to go." And he tells her quietly that he has a plan. But here in the show, he doesn't have a plan. his plan is to keep people alive by obeying Negan, and Michonne was right there at that lineup. I mean, she saw Negan telling Rick that he had to cut off Carl's arm, and so she understands. Just like she told Negan, she understands, and so it would be stupid to have her say the same thing that Andrea did that in the comics, where I can't look at you, I can't be with you anymore. Like that would just make her look like a serious bitch, and that's not that's just not who Michonne is, you know. And but I mean, like, you understand that though, and also let's see here, and with Daryl, I mean, like, I mean, it's funny how when we last saw him at Negan's sanctuary, Negan could not break him to the point where he made him a savior. You know what I mean? And then in the following episode, which is in this episode, he looks scared as shit. Like, where he's just like vulnerable, scared as fuck. Almost, he looks like Negan broke him. And, like, I just don't get that, how he goes from saying, "Who are you, Daryl?" and then here, he's completely broken. Like, what else did he do to him? Like, I mean, prior to them going to Alexandria, you know? I mean, at this point, Negan basically is like Ramsay Bolton, and he basically, like, made, like, Daryl's like his Theon Greyjoy, aka Reek, to Negan's Ramsay Bolton. I mean, just the, like, the way he has held him captive and just trying to break him, but the only thing is that he didn't cut his dick off, like, so I don't see him doing that. Or he may, like, if that were the case, he would make Rick do it, as he kept, mentioning, like, where if you want to try something, I'll make you cut pieces off of him. But and also I mean, yeah, it is a ridiculous episode. Like, it makes, I like how nobody died in this episode. It makes Negan much less predictable, like, where you don't know when is he gonna kill his next victim. Like, you're just trying to get inside that man's head, but you just cannot tell what he's thinking, other than it's Negan's law, and and all that stuff. And and I mean, like, they've been reminding us of the loss of Gwen a lot lately. Like, first with Dwight leaving the Polaroid of Gwen's remains and having Daryl look at it, and now we have Enid telling, asking the Saviors, "Can I keep the balloons?" Because that's what, they both, her and Gwen, used to let everyone know that he was alive and that he was okay. So I mean, like, she wants to hold on to, that memory of him, and it's just, it's heartbreaking, like, where where you see these reminders. I mean, like, that's like one of the hardest deaths that ever hit the show. I mean, probably, if not the hardest death by far. And these reminders don't make it easier for us to recover. But I get it. We're as focusing on the characters, like her, where it shows how much Gwen meant to everybody. And I love how they're doing that. And but yeah, I mean, like, it, this episode really shows how, Rick is willing to keep people alive, and it shows him aware, much more aware of what he's dealing with now, and how he chooses to deal with it, because this is the best route to do. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's just not a wise idea to to go up against Negan at this point, because if you do that, then you might as well would have killed the entire, like, all the people in Alexandria yourself. So, but this was, a satisfying episode. Like, it was worth 90 minutes. It didn't even feel like 90 minutes, honestly. It really didn't. I mean, I was like, wait, it's over already? It's over already? Okay. And them and the Saviors burning the mattresses. Dick fucking move. And people are coming up with this theory that that Daryl left messages to Rick of where Negan's sanctuary is. I don't see how he can possibly do that. I mean, all he did was stand around and be quiet and just helped, load guns up into the truck, like for Negan. But I don't know. I may have to watch it again to try to figure that out. So yeah, and it's pretty surprising where was Judith? I mean, Judith was not even there. I mean, I'm glad that she was away from all of that fuckeriness, but I'm like, okay, who took Judith? Where is she? Where did they hide her? I mean, during all this, I don't think she couldn't have been in the house while Carl was, mouthing off at the Saviors. I mean, she would probably be up there crying unless she's a really heavy sleeper, but I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. But speaking of Judith, so Rick came out and confirmed that Judith is not his biological daughter. Now, I mean, it was a shocker, but at the same time, it wasn't, because there was always that possibility that Shane is the dad of Judith. But I mean, it's comic book accuracy. I mean, but I thought they were gonna leave that up in the air. Honestly, I thought they were just gonna leave that in the air and just let it be like, okay, it doesn't matter who the father is. Rick is in her life. That's who her father is in her eyes. Much like how Jonathan Kent is the father in Superman's eyes, Clark Kent. But even though he accepted, his biological father too and all that. But I'm just making an example here. So yeah. So I mean, I totally didn't really. I don't know why I didn't come across the Judith, being Shane's daughter. When I was reading the comics. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I missed that one. I mean, I had a massive brain fart when it was confirmed on the show. I'm like, when did that happen? Oh, that did happen. Okay. So I have to reread that point in the comics again. So forget my brain farts and when you watch my reaction. I mean, just aside from that, I didn't think they were gonna confirm any of that on the show. It was just gonna be left in the air, like I said. And another thing, how about Negan, when every time he demands respect from Rick, and when Rick eventually gives him that respect, he makes him feel like shit for it right after that. Like in the season premiere, when he tries to break him, he tries to get rid of that look he keeps giving, that he keeps giving Negan and whatnot, and then he finally breaks Rick at the end of the season premiere by telling him to cut his son's arm off, and then he is just, man, I mean, the scene spoke for itself. But anyway, Negan got what he wanted out of Rick, and then when he's talking about Daryl, he's got guts. Not like some bitch. He ain't some bitch like someone I know. I'm like, what? And then in this episode here, when he demands respect again, where he's saying, okay, you get to keep all the food. And he's like, okay, what do you want me to say? Okay, how about thank you, Rick? And then when he finally says it at the end of the episode, and then Negan says that classic line in the comics, just like in the comics, which I thought he was not going to say, where he said, I just slit my dick, I just slit my dick in your mouth, and you thanked me for it. Oh my gosh, he's like a high school bully. What? But this was a great episode, like I said, so this gets 4 chair spins out of 5. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 solid chair spins. Woohoo! So anyway, so I am enjoying this season. I've been waiting for years for Negan to come on the show ever since I've been reading the All War story arc. I'm like, this is gonna be great. This is gonna definitely impact the show. This is gonna raise the stakes, and it's living up, and it's not disappointing ever. I mean, everybody was anticipating that was gonna be a letdown after the season finale of season 6 when Negan made his introduction, but come on. I mean, season 7 made up for that. I mean, for, the cliffhanger. So it definitely did, and it was worth the wait, and I can't wait to see what else did they do with it. And But I'm calling it now. I don't think Negan's gonna be taken out anytime soon. I think fans are at the point where they don't want him to be killed off. You know you are too. Don't lie. You know you are too. I mean, for those of you who don't read the comics and you just watch the show, you're like, yeah, he's growing on you. I hate him and I love him at the same time. I have a love-hate relationship with that character. But anyway, if I forgot to mention anything in this review, feel free to tell me in the comment section. And if you guys enjoyed my review, make sure you thumb up the video and make sure you click subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.